Often the stories we bring you from the downtown east side are about lives of desperation. It's one of the poorest neighborhoods in Canada with the most visible drug problem.
But tonight, you're about to meet a man who beat the street and journeyed further than even he could have imagined. Brent Gilbert has his story.
Check 1, 2, check 1, 2, 3, 4.
Setting up.
Yeah. Greg, you want to grab the poles?
Yeah. For a multimedia extravaganza.
I really like the design. It's nice and clean.
The man behind tonight's show.
It's going to look good on that plasma.
Is 37-year-old Joe Roberts.
We're going to have plasma on either side.
He's the CEO of Mindware Communications.
We help companies communicate more effectively using the internet.
Joe made his first $1 million in sales before the age of 35.
We've managed to flourish.
In fact, he's been featured in Canadian Business Magazine. Joe's even written a book about how he made it.
Yeah, we've been doing real well.
But look behind the smile, and you'll find a darker past.
I went under the alias Shaboogie Man.
This was Joe in the late 80s.
Living on the streets of Vancouver, eating out of dumpsters.
A heroin addict, barely alive on Skid Row.
You know, a life wrought with overdose, addiction, hopelessness, helplessness, disease, suicide, crime.
Joe was an angry young man who lived only for his next high.
By the time I was 24, I'd been to 5 times as many funerals as I had been weddings, and I knew that my number was coming up.
So he decided to get clean.
I was sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Joe went home to Ontario, entered a drug rehab program, enrolled in college, and graduated with a business diploma.
I wasn't there for, 15-cent chicken wings and beer. I was there for an education, and I got a great education.
Then Joe did what few others could have imagined.
Hustling,
he came back to Vancouver,
lying, cheating,
where he had faced the demons of addiction.
I was hungry. I had something to prove. I was back in the city that had kicked my behind.
But Joe did some kicking of his own, rising quickly through the ranks of the high-tech industry.
It looks bad on the outside, but I gotta tell you, it's a lot worse on the inside.
Little has changed in his former neighborhood.
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Joe recognizes an old friend who barely recognizes him.
Kind of looks like a cop now.
Joe's colored past would remain a mystery for years. Even his co-workers had little idea of his background. But 2 years ago, he decided it was time to give something back.
I began to tell him the truth about alcohol and drug addiction, about where it could really lead, that it's not glamorous, that it's a lie.
Joe the Junkie is now Joe the Motivational Speaker.
I began to think about how life could be, maybe one day, for me.
Over the last few years, he's spoken to more than 75,000 people about the horrors of drug addiction.
I hit a bottom that was so hard that I knew that I would have to change something.
Joe Roberts looked into the abyss, but is now pulling others back from the edge.
On July 26, 1991, I began my journey looking for the better part of me, and I found it again tonight through the better part of you. God bless you. Good night.
Brent Gilbert, CTV News in Vancouver.